The fear that contentment will lead to complacency runs deep with the women I work with. This idea that satisfaction will actually dull your edge, that if you stop striving, you'll stop growing. But this conflates two very different states: contentment and resignation. Welcome to your daily hit of grace and grit, your quick dose of inspiration to kickstart your day. This show is proudly sponsored by Rumble and Rise. To find out more about joining Rumble and Rise, head on over to graceandgrit.com/ready to rumble. I'm Courtney Townley, and here is today's hit. Contentment is the ability to recognize what's working without needing constant external validation. Resignation is giving up on what matters. They're not the same thing. The practice of enough, which I highly encourage you lean into, really define for yourself what is enough. Enough doesn't mean lowering your standards or abandoning goals, although it can mean that to some degree. It really means establishing a baseline of self-acceptance from which growth can happen without desperation. Psychologically, chronic dissatisfaction keeps you in a state of threat. And we all know what a state of threat does to the nervous system. Your nervous system interprets a constant state of threat as danger. Always thinking it's not enough, you're not enough, it's never enough, is danger to the nervous system. Your nervous system thinks something is missing, something needs fixing, you are incomplete. And this activates that stress response that actually impairs learning and creativity and sustainable change. I talked about self-determination theory in my book, The Consistency Code, and it shows that intrinsic motivation, the kind that sustains long-term engagement, requires a foundation of competence and autonomy. When you're constantly focused on deficits, you undermine both. You undermine your competence and your autonomy. You cannot build your life or the life that you want from a place of inadequacy. This idea of enough, being enough, having enough, doing enough creates a space for curiosity rather than always being absorbed by correction. Instead of what's wrong with me, the question becomes, what interests me? Instead of why can't I do this, it shifts to how might I explore this? This doesn't eliminate challenges or ambition. It just reframes them. Growth becomes an expression of who you are rather than proof of your worth. You pursue goals because they're meaningful, not because you're trying to escape the feeling of not being enough. I always say, I want my clients to set goals in honor of their worth, in devotion to their worth, rather than to prove their worth. And midlife often brings this tension into really sharp focus. There is less time at midlife for performative achievement and more clarity about what actually matters to you. The practice and the understanding of what's enough for you honors that clarity. It allows you to refine what is essential while releasing what was never yours to carry. So deciding what is enough is not an endpoint. It's a stance. One where you can appreciate what is while remaining open to what is emerging, where satisfaction and aspiration coexist without contradiction. If this stirred something inside of you, imagine what a whole book of clarity and courage could ignite. The Consistency Code, a Midlife Woman's Guide to Deep Health and Happiness, goes even deeper into the mindset and practices that create real, meaningful change at midlife. Grab your copy today over at theconsistencycode.com and keep the momentum alive.